How's everything going with you today, man?
It's all good, man. I'm in Brazil.
What's up, Nate? What's up, Quentin? How you guys doing?
How's it going? How's it going?
Doing well, doing well. Nate, this one is I know Quentin about as well as you know Quentin. Actually, you know him better because you actually got to speak with him live. Usually, the reason I say that, Quentin, usually I bring people on that I already know, and
Mhm.
Nate gets to meet him for the first time. So now the roles are reversed.
Quentin, to let you know, we don't have any questions in advance. There's no paperwork in front of us. This is a raw and authentic conversation.
Sure.
We're looking to tell your story. Obviously, we're called the Leaders Arena, so you're here because you're a leader in your field and in your community. So we want to talk about that. At the same time, we want to make a disclaimer to everybody in understanding that we don't know each other. And Clifford, this is one where all three of us don't know each other. So we want people to also understand that we want to showcase how to connect with a stranger and realize that not everybody is against each other. And we really want to show you that you can connect with a complete stranger within 59 minutes and find common ground. So I appreciate you coming on, Quentin.
My name is Quentin McCain. I'm the co-owner of the Leaders Edge.
Awesome. Clifford Starks with Starks Enterprises.
So talk to me. All right, so Quentin, so you're physically located in Brazil. Talk to us about your business and kind of what it is you're doing in the day to day in 2026.
Yeah. So my day to day, I'm a subconscious mindset coach, and my day to day is coaching leaders. Anything from anxiety, productivity, performance, any even things like traumas, negative emotions, limiting beliefs. So that's my day to day, and I'm the co-owner of the Leaders Edge, where we have a small team of four, where we also go into companies and do trainings on leadership, mindset, team building, things like that. So that's the short version.
No, that's awesome. And what types of are there any patterns of like larger types or industries that are more receptive and participatory of you, or is it just across the board?
It's pretty much across the board. My business partner owned hair salons for years, so sometimes we get these groups of salon owners and beauty schools that we end up training the leaders and things like that. But overall, it's across the board.
And then, so walk me through, like, without giving any of the secret sauce about what you do. Like, a lot of people, as soon as they hear that a subconscious coach, they kind of be like, "Oh, cool, what is that?" I'm actually one of those people. So, and tell me what a subconscious coach is, and kind of walk me through the philosophy and the strategy and what you do.
Yeah. So when it comes to mindset, the conscious mind is the goal setter, right? And the subconscious mind is the goal getter. So our theory is that you you can only get so far with change in your life if you're only going from the conscious level, which is why a lot of times, just an example, nothing against therapists, but talk therapy. It'll get you to a certain level just by having a conversation, being able to open up, vent to somebody, for example. But until you tap into the subconscious, where the root happens, right, where change really happens, um, in our opinion, long term lasting change just doesn't happen.
Can I share how powerful you are, Quentin?
Sure.
You be open for that? Awesome. All right. So the subconscious mind is like an elephant, and the conscious mind is like an ant. So if an ant's guiding an elephant, the subconscious decides where the ant goes. So Quentin basically supports you in getting to what you actually want instead of being frustrated in wanting what you want but not getting there.
Oh yeah. Beautifully stated.
I love it. So, my question and curiosity was not actually was actually I appreciate that because I wasn't sure because Clifford and I talk about this stuff a lot, and I'll be honest, Quentin, a couple of years ago when I went into sobriety, you would have been very crucial to that. I wish I would have known that that existed because where I went through was exactly what you just said. I went through successfully through therapy, through rehab, but there was that bridge to everyday life and execution that became the deterrent of actually getting into the consistency of everything. So I appreciate what you're doing, and I'm sure you help a lot of lives out there.
Oh yeah, I love it. I can't imagine doing anything.
Excellent. Well, walk us through. Like, is this your business, Quentin? So you said you and a business partner. Excellent. When did you guys get started in this, and when was it? When did it officially become a business?
Yeah, so it happened pretty organically, which is interesting, you know. Um, so I've known my business partner Jerry for I've known him for over 10 years, and we have always kind of helped each other out with, resources, bounce ideas off of each other, mastermind, right? Got together for coffee or whatever for years. And I guess rewind, I had originally met him in Toastmasters years ago, years and years. And we just stayed in contact. And through helping each other with resources and things like that, he was running a salon, hair salon. He owned franchises from Tony and Guy. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but it's international hair salon. And so he was occupied with that, but he was also doing coaching, right? And he would do seminars at his some of his salon locations, things like that. And through just helping each other out and being support for each other, one day he came to me and said, "Hey, we've been helping each other out so much and resources and all these different things. Why don't we partner up?" And to me, it was just like, I never even thought of having a partner, right? I'm just so used to just going after it, doing what I do, right? Being that lone wolf, like a lot of us can be in business, right? And I said, well, let me think on it. And it started to just make sense. It's like, well, we already help each other so much. So let's try it out. So now, um, we've been in business together for I think about 4 years. Out of the 10 plus that I've been doing this type of work.
So I got a question because I think it's so powerful, the lone wolf. I'm a fellow recovered lone wolf, and I think Nate is too in his own right.
Yeah.
And I want to ask, like, what gave you the lone wolf mentality, and then what switched that to go like, yeah, maybe I can do a partnership.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a great question. Um, I think I think naturally I've always worked really, really good by myself. Um, I feel like I've been the most productive when I just kind of zone in and do my own thing. Um, I grew up an only child, right? So I was used to doing my own thing in that way as well. I have siblings that we're close now, but I pretty much grew up an only child, and I was always on my own, right? And I think that mindset just stayed with me throughout the years. And through personal development and through just networking, I am a people person. I realized once he asked me that question, it's like, you know what? In theory, I know that you can get more done with a team, right? I just have never pursued that. So I was just open and it was the right time and we made it
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
happen. Yeah.
What in your experience so far in doing this, what do you think, without sharing anybody's names or anything like that, what do you think has been like the most impactful? And I don't mean highlight revenue, I mean impactful to you personally of an experience you had since you started this work.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I share two things came to mind?
Oh, absolutely. It's your show, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So on one end, so a little bit of background before I got into coaching, I worked in the Arizona Burn Center for about 8 years as burn rehab, doing burn rehab. So this is ICU burn victims. So kids, adults, everything in between. And um, doing that, you get a sense of the human condition. You see people at their lowest, right? We're talking about physically hurt, and then all of the rest ties into it, the trauma, the everything, right? And through doing that, which actually, which is another story, led me into coaching because I just switched from helping people physically, from going from physical therapy and rehab to helping people mentally. Um, because of those experiences, I ended up doing a keynote later when I got out of the hospital for the World Burn Congress. which is the biggest gathering of burn survivors in the world. So it was in front of about 3,000 people. And just seeing how much it helped people there, it was just humbling, and a lot of the people at the Burn Congress, they say they don't even go out the house a lot of times, for fear of being judged and looked at, some disfigurations, things like that. And they say that conference is the only time they come out of the house once a year. A lot of people told me. And just hearing how deeply a lot of them were touched and just started shifting that mindset for them. I did a speech on self-image. Probably hundreds of people came up and bought books and signed books and took pictures, and just the stories that I would hear and people that I continue to stay in contact with after that was just super impactful. I'll never forget it. So that was one. The other one is I had a young lady who had been going through therapy and counseling for about 15 years for chronic depression and anxiety. And after about 3 sessions, we broke down crying and said she had the biggest breakthrough in anxiety that she's ever had. After 3 sessions, and she was crying, she's like, I just feel dumb. She's like, I feel dumb that I've been living with this, and it was that easy for us to get rid of it. And I said, no, there's no reason to feel dumb. You were doing what you could with what you had, right? And now we're at another level to do something different. So that too is just like, this work is amazing.
I want to share, you said, because I get the frustration myself. I felt it as I've gone through my journey. And we were never taught that things were supposed to be easy. We were taught, we got to work. You got to grind. Do you want that A? Blah, 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 blah. And like, we hear it so much, we don't even think to question it. Like, well, maybe it is supposed to be easy.
Yeah, that's a great point. And to piggyback off of that, one of the things I tell clients usually in the first session is get rid of the notion that change has to be hard.
Yep.
Because a lot of times what happens is you feel the change, we're doing things, we're following through with the process, and you feel the change, and people will talk themselves back into old habits. And they'll say, yeah, I do kind of feel something, but there's no way that can happen after 3 sessions, after 1 session. There is no way. I've been living with this for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. To make themselves right, they're going to be like, no, can't be that easy, because then that would have made me, quote unquote, like the young lady said, feel dumb for being in that situation for all those years, losing relationships or whatever else happened in between that time. So I tell people, get rid of the notion that change takes forever, right? Change happens in an instant, and that's the instant that you decide, no more, right?
Yep. I want to ask you, what do you love? Like, what could you get up and do without even any question? You just love doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm full of joy, man. I love traveling, as we can see. I'm here in Rio de Janeiro right now. Been here about a month, and I feel like I can pick up and go anytime, you know, when I'm talking to different companies and things like that, and doing trainings, because we'll do trainings online a lot of times, but I make it be known. I'm like, now, if you want us to go there, we're totally willing to go. My business partner isn't as excited about that traveling as I am, but he'll get up and go as well. Yeah, I'm always willing to get up and go. I love traveling. I love culture. I love languages. I love trying different food. I speak 3 languages. English, of course, as you all can tell. Right? But I learned Spanish fluently and Portuguese. I guess that might go without saying. I married a Brazilian, right? So, and I'm learning French right now. So I love all that kind of stuff: culture, travel, food, and then of course coaching. It really doesn't feel like work for me. I I love it. I could do it any day.
That's awesome.
Was when you which came first, the role or the love for travel? Because they're both interdependent now that you're so remote and mobile.
Right. I would say just the love for travel
Yeah.
probably came first, just because I feel like I have kind of that adventurous kind of personality. I don't mind traveling by myself. I'm willing to take a risk. I'm willing to go see for myself, right? Not necessarily listen to what people have said about certain things, right? Some people are like, oh man, you're going to go to South America, right? It's dangerous, right? Or whatever. We'll see. I'll let you know when I get there.
The reason I asked that is, like, even though they weren't chosen at the same time, they're the same intention. Like your curiosity of mindfulness and coaching and get mindset and everything like that is the same as the traveler's thrill, because nobody that doesn't like curiosity or isn't curious of people travels.
Yeah.
Like, people that don't travel aren't curious about people. They're not
Yeah.
curious about culture. They're not curious about ecosystems and human connection. So that's why I said it's amazing that they are exactly aligned in those two skills and environment.
Yeah. And as you said, not everybody is, right? There's people that are like, travel for what? Why would I want to try weird food, right? That I don't like or whatever, right? They're like, no, my home is just fine.
I'm glad you brought up the food thing, because while I'm new into the travel and things like that, you could help me right now in this moment. I'm going to give you a test right now. When I go somewhere else, I'm not stubborn and I'm not a picky eater, but I do get challenged when I'm traveling abroad on the food aspect of things, because I don't, and it bothers me. Like, it bothers me that I can't fully go in as much as I want to on the localized experience. And I find myself retreating to, like, the comfort foods while I'm there and stuff like that. So how do you think, like, what can I do in that moment, or kind of help myself be more open to the food aspect of things? Because learning about people, culture, everything like that, I'm in. But I
Yeah.
do have trouble with the food
Yeah.
sometimes, depending on where I am.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you're not totally shut off from trying different things. But I would say, how I think about a lot of things is maybe it's not this or that, right?
Mhm.
Maybe you're like, okay, fries, I know what that is. I'm going to get a side fry. And then I'm going to try this one thing. And then, it's like, I'll try one new item. Right? And so maybe it's not this or that. So you're not, disappointed when you try something. You're like, okay, that was horrible and waste of money, right? So you get something you like, and then you try a little something on the side.
I'll tell you why I brought that up was I was in Jamaica and I was afraid to eat oxtail. Like, I just was like, and I ate lionfish right in the bush. Like, I was all about it right there. I ate the whole thing with a Rasta buddy. And I literally met the guy on the street and he took me up in the bush and we started cooking lionfish together. It was like a movie. And eventually the tattoo will be on my body. But when it came to the other part, though, I was like afraid to eat oxtail and I was afraid to eat this. And I'm like, why am I, like, running through this thing where, like, I'm willing to eat a poisonous fish and trust this guy that's cooking it in the woods, like, versus, like, adding actually. And then fast forward, I end up coming home and then a Jamaican friend makes me oxtail, doesn't tell me, and then I end up eating it and loving it. And then those are the moments where I get frustrated when I'm in it. And I'm like, why did it just slip in today? And I was cool with it, but I was, like, fighting it internally over there.
Right, right. No, that makes sense. I mean, also, fish is something that's a little more common. Right?
Yeah.
And, when we hear fish, no matter what kind of fish, we can generalize, right? And be like, okay, fish, yeah, I know what that is, right? But it just seems a little foreign.
Yes.
And, you know, our imaginations can go wild. We get to imagining, okay, it's freaking tail, right? On this big old, that kind of stuff can mess us up, right? Imagination. It can work for us or against us. And by the way, I love Oxnard. It's like one of my favorite things ever.
I love it. I love it now too. I never turn it down anymore. I'll tell you that much. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I
And,
like
and
oxtail. Have either of you ever had tongue before?
tongue,
I draw the line there.
I'm afraid of it. Yeah, that's the one thing that I have not like. I'm like, tongue. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had it. Yeah, I've had it, and I like
You
it
like
too. Yeah,
Okay. Nice.
you'd be surprised how many things I've tried. You know, yeah, I've tried a lot of things. Yeah, oh, yeah, them tongue tacos. Oh yeah.
What's the craziest thing that you're open to share that you've tried? Now I'm really curious.
Um, I don't know what the craziest thing is. Let me. Well, it's not that crazy, but I've tried chicken feet.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah, here in Brazil. I've tried pretty much everything on chicken. I've tried chicken hearts.
What do the feet and the hearts taste like?
You know what? That's one of the things, maybe because of visual, that I was like I don't really want to try the chicken feet because it's funny. So I tried it here. I think it was last year in Brazil because my wife's dad, he was like, "Hey, have you ever had chicken feet?" And I was like, "Chicken feet? No." Right? Why would I ever have that? And he's like, "You never had chicken feet?" I was like, "No, never had it." And I was like, "Does my wife like it?" He's like, "She grew up on chicken feet." And I was like, and he's like, "I'm gonna make you some chicken feet one day while you're here." And I was like, "Okay, well, don't think too hard about it. Don't totally fine, right?" And he's like, "No, I'm gonna make it." I'm like, "Okay," but then I'm like, "Okay, he's gonna forget. He's just talking." And literally one day, we're at my mother-in-law's house, and that this isn't normal. She typically, it's Latina family. Uh, they make food when you come over, right? And it wasn't the first time, so they made a bowl of whatever, and they set it down for me. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this looks amazing," you know. And it was like a soup, and there was like cheese in there. There was like all kinds of stuff, like okra in there, and rice, and it looked amazing. And what looked like chicken was in there, and I'm eating this, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like this is one of the best soups I've had." And our dad's sitting there like watching me, like excited. I'm like, "Oh, what's going on, right?" And like literally as he's standing there, foot from my face, I go in and I see just like a foot, And I was just like, "This is it? I didn't know this was a chicken feet." And it's a foot. Like you can chop it up or like make it unnoticeable in the soup, but no, it's sitting there. It's a chicken foot, and I have it in my spoon or fork or whatever I was eating with, and he's just like waiting. And I'm like, "Okay, I can't disrespect this man's cooking right now." So I go in and I'm sucking on chicken toes, man. And, and he's waiting for the reaction, and the look of it was the worst part. It was actually pretty dang delicious. I'm not gonna lie. It was pretty dang good. And give him the thumbs up. I'm like, "Yeah, I like it." It's good. And since then, I mean, the look of the foot still messes with me, but I've eaten it like probably 4 times, 5 times since then.
That's awesome. Thank you for that story. That's a great story.
That's the first time I've told this story publicly, by the way.
I love that, and I agree with you. Like I'm all about it. For me, it's like it's that texture of the foot that just throws me. It's the texture.
Yeah. I would totally get it if somebody looked at it and was like, "I'm not eating it." I would totally get it.
Just so you know, so the two of you eating chicken's feet has actually got me interested in eating chicken's feet. And Nate, one thing that I noticed every time you're eating something different, you're eating it with someone you know.
I never have experimented with something different by myself. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. It has to be some convincing going on.
It was, dude. I'll tell you when I was in the bush with the Rasta and we were in it was a hut. We're not talking about a restaurant. I mean, we're talking plywood huts, 6 people in the family. It was a bed, it was a little stove, and it was a cutting board, and it was a bucket was their bathroom. And I don't say that in a joking way. I'm trying to paint the picture for everybody. And I'm sitting there with this dude in full trust while he's like doing the precision cutting of all the poisonous pieces of the fish. And it was that moment that I really was able to release myself from like my own anxiety, and it's a moment I will always remember, because literally as we're doing this, there's mice running in and out of the thing. They're running around the other side, and again, I'm trying to really just let everybody see. And it wasn't I wasn't skeeved out. I wasn't grossed out. I was present, and I was like, this is different from what I'm used to, but that doesn't make it wrong, is what I kept telling myself in my head. And that was like that experience was something I'll remember for the rest of my life. And a lot of people will be like, it was just a fish. I'm like, no, it was everything else about it. It was experience. It was standing in. Honestly, I'll go back to that. I mean, being in America where we are, and then going there, it was standing in that shack and thinking about my kids, and like trying to get ready for school in the morning, or little everyday tasks. And these people had the most positive outlook on every aspect of their life, and yet they didn't have that much. And it changed me moving forward. Like, I immediately after that, not as a reaction, I immediately started shedding materials in my life, because I was like, these people are doing this with nothing. I have this, but I don't even need this. And what is this? This is distracting me from what they have, and what they have is presence and community, because they don't have a 27, or not 27, a 46-inch screen on their wall distracting. There's no televisions there. There was no Wi-Fi. There's barely reception to communicate effectively to each other. And the way they pay for it, they only communicated when they had emergencies. If they didn't have an emergency, they walked to their next door neighbor's house and talked to their next door neighbor. That was the piece that got me, was they didn't text their neighbor. Like, we went from like cooking this food, within 30 minutes, there was 50 people outside that shack. So that's the piece. The next piece is, the next part of painting the scene is, they whispered to their two kids. Their two kids ran up the street, let all the other houses know that we were having a feast. And then all of a sudden the big pots come out. Everybody starts coming with their pots and pans from their house. And then they're cooking their stuff at their house. And within 30 minutes to an hour, we had picnic tables lined up. And it was the Thanksgiving dinner of rice and beans and everything that everybody had in their shacks. And they brought them over, and we just had a community moment. And that, Clifford hopped off for a sec, but yeah, I immediately started shedding materials in my life. And I made the choice in that moment too, that I didn't want to ever have a business that was bigger than my backpack. And in that sense, it was because you can handle what's in your backpack, and you can still be present, because when it gets bigger than your backpack, you can't handle it anymore. You can't be mobile, you can't pivot. And that was all way before Clifford. We were talking about with Dr. Stan that time about pulling the bricks out of your backpack. That was what that was all tied to. And that was that moment that I started shedding those bricks out of that backpack.
That's really cool.
And it all started with a fish.
All started with a fish. And that's amazing, because I have the same somewhat of an experience, living here in Brazil half the time, is that it's different, right? And there's things that I don't do when I'm in the States that I do just naturally here now, that I have to get used to. For example, where I'm at here in Rio, I can pretty much walk to anywhere I need to go, right? I don't have a car here in Rio. Not yet. I may get one. I'm thinking about it. But honestly, you don't really need it in your day to day. I walk to the store, walk to the supermarket. You can walk pretty much anywhere you need to go, and it's normal, right? And when I'm not walking somewhere, I'm taking an Uber somewhere, right? And it's just like letting go of some of that control. I can go to the store down the street when I'm at home in Phoenix, and it's a 3-minute drive, and I'm still gonna drive. Right? I could walk, but I don't. Right? And you just learn, like you said, shed some of that, and just experience, what you're experiencing, where you're at.
That's so cool.
I think the biggest cultural shift for me sometimes is the presence. Like, when I go to other countries, people are just more present. Like, when they say how you doing, they actually mean it. Like, they actually want you to engage in a conversation, not just appease them in the passing by.
You know, I have a notice. So the woman that Quentin worked with saying I can't believe it was this easy. This is what I noticed in America. I do my best to stay as present as I can. And I also realize we get pulled in a million different directions and we don't even think about it because it's our normal.
Yeah, no, that's totally true.
I forget the number, but like when we were growing up, Quentin, you look like you're about the same age as me and Clifford. And when we were growing up, just think
We
about
all look like we're in our 30s, just saying.
Yeah.
I was gonna say 20s, but that's cool.
Okay, the 20s works.
Oh, man, that'll work.
But what you just said about the presence and everything like that, like think about when we were kids. Like Quentin, where did you grow up in the US?
I grew up in Phoenix.
All right. So yeah, you guys, so you're both Arizona guys. So yeah, when you were growing up, like we had a couple billboards and you had a radio ad every once in a while that had a jingle that would stay in your head, but it wasn't the 60,000. I mean, that number is the last number I heard was depending on where you are in the United States, you could be hit with 60,000 advertisements in a day. I mean,
before I attended.
it blows me away. And then growing up too, like you think about just the subtlety of a billboard. When we were growing up, billboards weren't digital. Like you put one ad up and eventually that ad would become white noise. And I sold billboards back in the day. And like, we told people it was the greatest thing in the world. But at the same time, once somebody passed that billboard 4 times, they stopped looking in that direction until the next month or the next quarter when the color changed, and then it would draw them in, and then they would watch it 4 times and then go away. Now, they're setting laws for us not to text and drive, but then building distractions on the road for us. So it's like, put your phone away, but we're just putting 100-foot phones up on the side of the road for you to like continue to look while you're driving.
Yeah.
The screens in the cars are getting bigger.
Look up into the left, right?
Yeah. That's exactly it. That was where I was going. It's best when the PSAs go up where it's like, look at the road. Well, stop flashing the fucking bright light at me. We're a society of ADHD fiends. Like, don't go flashing lights around me. I'm gonna look.
I will say that part is crazy out here in Brazil. They drive pretty crazy out here. They're on a bunch of those like little motorcycles.
The thing,
Yeah, and I see them texting while they're on their motorcycle.
Everybody's walking though. Because I'm feeling like, screw that. I'm gonna walk.
I know, right? That's why there's so many people walking. Yeah, and they're like cutting in and out. Like, but it also though, you don't see that many accidents. I think they just understand the flow of it, right? When I see like babies in the front of the motorcycle, they got them sitting in the front, they're texting, they're texting traffic. The driving part is pretty crazy. Maybe that's why I haven't gotten a car yet here either. Right? Subconsciously, I'm like, we need.
I can tell you that I've always enjoyed driving everywhere I am because I enjoy the control. But I'm with you there, and I can tell you 2 different times in 2 different countries I happened to be driving by a school when schools let out, and that was the most nerve-wracking because and again, not picking on this, painting the scene. Dad drives up, and a lot of times it was weird. At least where I was seeing was a lot of times it was dad driving the moped up, and he would have 2 or 3 kids on that moped, and then hauling ass up this mountain with these curvy ass windy roads, and everybody's driving a million miles an hour, but somehow they know each other is on the other side of that curve. And then the craziest thing was one time I watched a collision of a moped and a van. Like the van stopped, the moped crashes out. They got out. They didn't argue like in the US. He literally, we're the car right behind. And he's like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, are you okay? Yeah. They looked, they're like, we're good. They literally hugged, picked up the moped, and then they all just disappeared and went on their way. And I'm like, wow, nobody was bothering, calling the cops. Nobody wanted to sue each other. Everybody was just like, everybody was fine. Nothing was wrong. Let's move on with their life. And then that moment I was like, dude, this is This is where we need to get back to. You know what I mean? Like, we're not, everybody's attacking each other when it's like, we just made a mistake, man. We're all driving on this crazy curve together. And, you
Yeah,
know, use that as a metaphor for life, you know? Like,
yeah,
let's give each other a little grace every once in a while.
yeah. I agree. It's same thing here. You know, I've seen very few accidents, but I've seen a couple. And same thing. They were just like, "Oh, you good? It's all good, right?" I know we all drive crazy. We all usually get it, but hey, it happened, right? So it is interesting seeing that those cultural differences, and I think we do need to get back to that. Even we talk about so much of the technology and all of these things, but one of the coolest things that's super simple that I see here in Brazil is at the beach. I was with my wife and we were at the beach one day, and all of a sudden, all of these people just start clapping right, on the beach. And I'm like, what's going on? And then more and more people join in and start clapping. And I'm like, what is going on? I thought maybe like somebody proposed or something, and they saw it, and and I'm asking my wife, like, what in the heck is going on? So what they do is when there's a lost kid looking for their parent, everybody starts clapping where the kid is. And the clapping becomes, louder and louder and more so the parent can find their kid. And I was like, okay, that's super simple. Zero
That's so
technology,
cool.
right? And it freaking works. And now every time I see it, I'm like, yeah, this is cool. I want to record it. So yeah, I just thought that was
That's
really
super
cool.
cool.
Just one of those things, those cultural differences, like, okay, that's pretty simple. Right?
But do you remember, like, when we were growing up, though, that's what it was. We used to have that village mentality. Like, when you
Mm,
were out running around at night and the lights went out, let's say at nighttime, and you're playing over in the East Coast, we'd play manhunt, which is like hide and seek. And if you were in the wrong neighborhood or you were in the wrong backyard, you know, or you were out horsing around with your friends, that neighbor called your parents and were like, yo, your kid's acting up, you know what I mean? Or whatever. Or they took care of it themselves and like called you out, you know what I mean? And then and that's where I think we did lose that. We lost that because you don't get, as I'm a parent of kids, and I've never gotten a phone call from another parent that my kids do anything. And I'm not one that pretends my kids are angels, and they do watch the show and listen. So they were laughing probably when I say that. Is like, I wish I got more phone calls where it was, because we're not always around our kids, and it's like, I'm not a free range parent where the kids can run rampant, but at the same time, I know it's easy to say let's get back to that village, but I think what happened was, well, I know what happened. We were a village when we were growing up, and with the subtleties of the tribalism was very subtle. And now we're in a place where the village has become multiple tribes, and now that's divisiveness. We evolved from that, not in the best way, I think, sometimes.
no, that's so true. And when I was growing up, same thing. I'd get in trouble by my next door neighbor, the babysitter, whoever, right? Would call my mom and like, "Yep, Quinn's over here acting up, right, or whatever." And yeah, no, totally true. You know, and it is funny when you come to like different countries like this that you do see that. That's one of the things I always talk about. It's like, like all the kids are out in the street. Where we live out here, it's pretty safe. Despite what people say about Brazil and Rio, and like kids are out at night in the street, like literally tons of them playing soccer, hanging out. They know everybody. You know, they now all of them now know me now. And when you're out here and they see you every day and you're their neighbor, like all the kids, they call you aunt and uncle, which I thought was interesting. I'm walking down there like, hey, chill, hey, uncle, right? And it's like, wow, this is like really that community how it used to be. Like, it's really interesting. Really cool too.
When
Very
that
well said.
when the unk thing started to be part of things, it's like sometimes it's like over here now it's used two ways, and I'm always like, it's used to like make fun of you, or it's used as a sign of respect where it's like, it's not my parent but I respect him. So in the US now, I'm having teenage kids, I'm so confused when friends will say stuff like that, like, what up, uncle? I'm like, are you saying it? Which one are you
Right,
using?
which one are you saying right now? Which one are you going with this, right?
It's like, oh, bless your heart in the South, I recently learned is it's not a compliment anymore. And I just really, it sticks to me now.
Blesses.
I heard that a lot growing up. So now I go back to all those conversations and wonder which way did they mean that one?
Let's recap some of this. What is going on there?
Well, hey, Quentin, I really appreciate you. I don't want to. I'll close out or not close out, but I realize I've been talking a lot, so I'll let Clifford jump in.
Yeah, just had a question. Quentin, how long were you in Phoenix for? And what was were you born and raised in Phoenix?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Phoenix, and I still live in Phoenix.
Okay.
I would say that's my main spot, even though I'm here half time in Rio, but I'm still mainly in Phoenix. So I'm still there every couple months, 2-3 months. I come back.
Okay. So I'm gonna share the experience I had, and I would love to hear your experience. I lived in Ahwatukee, and they literally called it All White Tukey, and I was the only black kid there, and it felt freaking weird. I was like, and there would be times one of the kids goes, "Why do you stand like that?" I go, "Stand like what? With your butt sticking out like that?" And I didn't know why I did. So I went to ask my mom. I'm like, "Mom, why do I stand out with my butt like that?" She goes, "Boy, you're black. You have a butt."
So my high school experience was a little different. I was a little rough in high school. I was like a gangster. I was actually a gangster. So I went to 4 high schools actually.
Nice.
You know, so and pretty much all of my high schools were pretty mixed. You know, there was blacks, there was whites, there was Latinos. You know, so it was pretty mixed, a little bit different. Yeah,
Okay.
and I grew up mostly in between Central Phoenix and South Phoenix.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. When you do you come back out to Phoenix ever?
I was just in. I've only been here a month this time.
Let me yeah, hook up with me. Yeah, let's get together.
Very cool.
Awesome.
And where are you at, Nate? I know you mentioned.
I'm in Pennsylvania and West Virginia. I rotate back and forth on the road all the time.
Okay, yeah. I travel quite a bit, so I've been to Philly and everywhere in between.
That's where I was born. Yeah, I'm born there and then moved out to West Virginia when I was younger, and then went back for college in Philly. Stayed there for a few years. Now I toggle between the two. Yeah.
Now you're in West Virginia again.
It depends on at this moment I'm in West Virginia, but
Okay.
literally 3 days a week I'll be in PA, and the other 3 to 4 I'll be in West Virginia. I'm constantly on the road.
Nice. Yeah.
Some of these episodes I do in the car on the side of the road with Clifford.
There you go. Yeah, I've been almost. Well, I don't know if you call this almost all the states, but maybe like 36, 37 states. So I would say almost all of them.
That's good. So you
Awesome.
can see that if you go to all those states, you'll see that. Like I travel around the country a lot too, and it's like, but I intentionally go to I've been everywhere. I love national parks and all that stuff, and that's what I mean is exactly like somebody who like yourself that's been to every state. Every single state is different.
Oh yeah.
And I know that sounds stupid to say. It sounds rude, like basic, but it's true. And I think it's so much deeper than what people realize is the priorities are different, the perspectives are different, the life experiences are different, the environments are different. And so everybody like when we say things as a national thing or as whatever, we have to understand that there's 50 some different interpretations from 50 some different communities of whatever that same sentence or that same directive is.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree with you, and it's not stupid at all because even being here, naturally, a lot of people are, how's the United States? They're asking me, what's it like? I'm like, well, I can give you a generalization, but really, it depends on where you go. That's so true. Depends on where you go. Arizona is totally different from West Virginia.
Oh, yeah. And even West Virginia, you go to different spots in West Virginia, and you can be in a coal town that's all shacks and shanties in the holler, and then you go a couple of hours north in West Virginia, and you're in one of the most beautiful art communities in the world. It's like it's everything's a duality anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's where we can't broad stroke anything anymore.
That's also why I don't really buy into a lot of the generalization that happens, right, throughout the world, right? You hear people doing it all the time. Well, this political party is this political party, or that country is this. Brazil is dangerous, or whatever it is. You know, first of all, it's one person's perspective, right? Opinion. Secondly, when is there ever any absolutes, right? This person or these people are this way, right? Yes, there's some rough sides of town here in Rio, right? But there's some rough sides of towns in Phoenix.
There's a rough towns in Philly.
Right? And there's also beautiful beaches here, right? Beautiful scenery, all kinds of things, right? Just like, in Arizona, you go to Grand Canyon and see one of the wonders of the world, right? So there's always multiple sides to it.
I think too many people want rubber rooms,
Yeah.
and some people deserve them. I'll give you a good one, Quentin. Next time somebody asks you how's the U.S. and if you're somebody you can joke around with in Brazil, just tell them, hey, I'm here right now.
Right.
Meaning I'm not there.
Right. I'm here. It's like, but that's funny because, a lot of times, not everybody, but some people are like, man, that's my dream to go to the U.S. And they'll be like, why are you here for 2-3 months? They're like, we want to go there, right? Yeah, here.
Yep.
What anything, Quentin, as we close out here, anything coming up this year you want to plug or anything like that? And then if you have a website or if you want to share any information about how people can reach out to you for your services. Obviously we got to get to know you for the last hour, and I look forward to much more conversations with you over the next year or so. And we're talking about maybe over the course of the year we'll do some like roundtable type topic stuff. So love to have you come in and talk about what it is you do, because it's very unique what you do, and it's a very niche thing. And I don't mean niches in small and everything like that. I mean niches in precision, and that's really to compliment you on what you're doing. And I respect what you're doing.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, this has been wonderful, man. I feel like, you just sitting around, having a drink with friends, So,
That's it, man. That's what it is. That's what this is, man.
yeah, this is awesome. But yeah, I mean, people can find me on all the socials, Coach Q McCain, right? QMCCAIN, Coach Q McCain, or Quentin McCain. You can find me. And, Instagram, all of the stuff, LinkedIn. The website is theleadersedge.online. Theleadersedge.online. Not to be confused with that. But, yeah, as far as plugging anything, we do a membership program every single Thursday morning, 6 a.m. Phoenix time, every single Thursday. And what we do is at the beginning of the month, we start a new topic. It could be a range of topics from any kind of mindset, emotional stuff, business stuff. It's a personal development membership group, the Leaders Edge Accelerator membership. And at the beginning of the month, we start a new topic, and we break that topic down over 4 or 5 weeks, depending on that month. And so it's not just like you learn it and you forget it the next week. So the first week we do straight teaching, Zoom, and the second week we do a breakdown of that teaching. And then the third week, we do a mastermind around it for internalization. And then the fourth week, we do a Q&A based on implementation. So definitely invite anyone to send me a message, and send me a link, and you can just hop on and check it out. And if it's something you want to do, get you signed up.
Nice.
Clifford, if you want to do any closing out, and then I'll wrap it up.
I want to say, Quentin, thank you for coming on. It was an absolute pleasure. You have amazing stories, sir. And I also want to say, life's about just being a better human as we go through this journey. He's a leadership coach, and not just a leadership coach. He's much more than that, but we do similar things in some aspects. And I was perfectly fine with that. And I'm so grateful that I had him on, because I got to learn so much about another individual. And in life, go learn about people, guys. Go learn about people. Go have fun. Go experiment. Go do your best. Go show someone your vulnerable side, because you'd be surprised what you get.
Absolutely. And I'll come in with the rougher side of things. Everybody, hold a door for a stranger, look people in the eyes, stop being a piece of shit out there and start reaching out to another person, because there's more that connect us than that divides us. So as we just heard for the last hour, we are a village. It takes a village. We are not a bunch of tribes. We need to remember why we're here. We're here to connect. We're here in this beautiful and destructive journey of life. And we're all just trying to figure it out on the curvy roads in the moped together. So Quentin, thank you so much. And I want to give you also, I want to give you the compliment as well that there are no scripts. There is no agenda. We've never met. And if there's anybody that says like nobody understands me, then you need to spend some more time understanding each other. So, hey, everybody, you two have a great rest of your day. Everybody else out there, keep listening to us. And this is the realest thing on the internet. And we couldn't be more proud to introduce Quentin to the world.
All right. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you,
Take care,
audience. Take care.
Thank
you guys.